It is possible to buy a house on minimum wage in the United States, and I'm going to show you how it's done in this video. You'll see how it will take you 3.5 years to buy a modest home on minimum wage and just under 5 years to buy a nicer, longer term home. At the time of making this video, I'm a licensed real estate agent in Florida, but I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and no content in this video is financial advice. I'm not receiving incentives for any products that I mention in this video, and for liability reasons, all content in this video is only for entertainment. So you want to buy a house. To show you how that's possible, I'll need to make assumptions. Among those is that you're single, meaning not married, with no kids, but if that's not you, I think that this video will still help. I'll also assume that you want to preserve your health and retire at a normal age with at least enough money for basic comfort. To reach your goal, you'll need to survive and accumulate money. To survive, you'll need food, water, clothing, and shelter. Let's look at what these necessities will cost, how much money you'll make, and use these numbers to create a simple plan to buy a house with a timeline. So how do you get your living necessities for the lowest cost? Food. Organic great value rice. Kefir from whole dairy milk. Organic apples, organic oranges, organic bananas, organic grass-fed ground beef from Aldi, salt, pepper, dried seaweed, multivitamins, organic instant coffee, pasture-raised eggs from Aldi, genuine organic cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil, and a zero water filter. That's just a sample list that many would consider healthy, and I'll use this list to demonstrate that you don't need to eat the lowest quality food to save up for a house. The goal here is to survive and come out at the end with a house and your health preserved. But that also means that your goal is not to enjoy your favorite foods each day. But if you'd like to change that goal, we'll budget for that adjustment later in the video. Here's what that list of food currently costs in my area after sales tax. That's $2,732.82 per year for this food, plus an initial expense of $64.62 after tax for the zero water filter charged to make kefir and kefir starter. If you're lactose intolerant, kefir is a cheap way to get probiotic benefits, calcium, and other nutrients with almost no time investment. Just add whole milk to the kefir starter and ferment at room temperature or in a fridge. Watch a how-to video first. I make it, it's great. Next necessity, water. We'll cover utility costs later, and the water you'll need to drink to survive will be covered there. Clothing. Your expense here will depend on your minimum wage job. With two outfits, you can clean one outfit in the kitchen sink each day and alternate between the two outfits. Also, depending on your job, you may not need to wash your clothes every day. I'll talk about soap in a second. If you're normal, let's say that you already have your minimum wage job and clothing, but your shoes wear out and sometimes you stain and tear your clothing and need to maintain them for work. We'll budget $50 per year at a thrift store, plus $40 per year for gently used shoes on eBay for this. I've had good experiences with eBay shoes. Shelter. The best option for some people is to live with family and pay a small amount of rent to them. Another cheap option that may appeal to single people is to find roommates online or through your acquaintances and split rent. I once found a house on Craigslist that was rented out room by room and lived very affordably there. I also split rent with other guys in college at several houses and even paid $90 per month in the early 2010s, and that included utilities. But let's be conservative and say that you'll be renting an inexpensive apartment by yourself. I just found one on Craigslist near me for $625 per month including utilities, except probably internet, and it even happens to be in a low crime area. We'll use $625 per month for the cost of shelter then. Keep in mind that I'm in Pensacola. That's a middle of the road kind of place. In California, your cost of rent would be much higher, but so would your wage. Generally, if you're on prime real estate, like near the coast or in California, it's going to be harder to buy a home on minimum wage if you insist on renting by yourself. If you're not willing to give up that requirement, you may want to move to an area of the country that's not prime real estate. For example, I lived in eastern Kentucky for a while, and in my opinion, homeownership would be easier to achieve there for someone renting by himself than it would be in California. Conversely, for someone living in his vehicle or splitting rent 5 ways, an expensive area could potentially make saving up for a home easier. That person might just relocate to a cheaper area once he's saved up the money to buy a home. We've covered the necessities for survival. Now let's budget for some other things that may help you along the way. Those are transportation, health insurance, dental and vision insurance, access to a working 120-volt standard outlet, a refrigerator and cooking range or hot plate, a smartphone with an unlimited data plan, and that will be your source of internet access, running water, that's a luxury that goes beyond just drinking water, a working toilet, toilet paper, these are luxuries that can boost your morale, bar soap, laundry detergent, clippers to cut your own hair, cotton swabs, razor blades to shave your face, deodorant, toothbrushes, toothpaste, and dental flossers. If you're a female, you'll probably want a budget for feminine hygiene products. Not the makeup or frilly stuff though. If you wear contacts, switch to glasses after you run out of contacts or solution. Even with a strong prescription, you can get nice anti-glare glasses on Zenni for $34.80 after shipping. Now let's add up the costs of these luxuries. Transportation. Being able to walk or bike to the grocery store and work would be ideal, but we'll be conservative and say that you own and maintain a car and drive 7,688 miles per year. That's for a 28-mile round trip to and from work 245 days per year, and another 14 miles per week for groceries, and another 100 miles per year for errands like oil changes, dentist appointments, and physicals. Right now, gasoline after tax would cost you $770 per year in my area for a car getting 31 miles per gallon. You'll also need to maintain your vehicle. A typical cost of maintaining an economy car like a Kia Rio would be 18.76 cents per mile or $1,443 per year for our example. That accounts for engine oil and oil filter changes, engine air filter and cabin air filter changes, tire rotations, transmission fluid changes, wheel alignments, coolant flushes, new tires, serpentine belt replacements, strut and shock replacements, brake fluid flushes, brake pad replacements, and unanticipated maintenance, plus all of the labor that's associated with these things. We'll assume that you pay people to do the maintenance besides the air filter and battery replacements. This cost does not account for using up the fixed useful life that your car has remaining as you drive. We'll account for that later. Keep the wiper blades clean, they'll last. You'll need car insurance. A typical cost of comprehensive insurance that covers you even if the offender doesn't have insurance is $1,300 per year in my area, but that could easily vary either way by several $100s. We'll use $1,300 per year. You'll also have to renew the registration each year, which costs $28.10 in my area, and your driver's license every 8 years, which averages out to $6 per year in my area. I'll also conservatively assume that you don't have outdoor running water at your residence and will be using a waterless car wash chemical and microfiber rags to clean the car's exterior, which will cost $42.75 per year after taxes. With all of these transportation costs in mind, the total transportation cost comes to $2,819 per year. Health insurance. A typical full-time minimum wage job will cover a basic health insurance plan. We'll assume that you get an annual physical for no additional cost. If that's not true for you, look into Medicaid or the health insurance marketplace. On minimum wage, you should be able to find a plan for no additional cost. Dental and vision insurance. Many full-time minimum wage jobs will cover dental and vision insurance with your basic health plan with no deductible for a general checkup. We'll assume that's the case here. If not, look for marketplace or Medicaid options that cover dental and vision insurance. Access to a working 120-volt standard outlet. We've conservatively assumed that you're renting a place with utilities included, and so this cost is already accounted for. The same goes for appliances for food storage and preparation, running water for sanitation, drinking water, and a working toilet. A smartphone with an unlimited data plan. An unlimited data plan from Mint Mobile is $392.64 per year after all of the fees at the time of making this video if you pay all at once. The fees vary slightly and could be a bit cheaper. Let's assume that you don't have a smartphone. At the time of making this video, used working unlocked iPhone 6s on eBay cost roughly $30 after shipping and tax. A charging cable with a transformer plug is another $10.49 after shipping and tax. Toilet paper. This will cost around $21 per year for a male using high-end off-brand toilet paper from Walmart, and it's even cheaper at Aldi. Just fold 2 or 3 sheets overlapping flat and then wipe. It's way more cost effective than wadding it up. Bar soap. This will cost roughly $12 per year using basic Castile bar soap. If you have a high shower shelf away from the water stream, store the soap there to make it last longer. If you have a soap saver that drains away water, place the bar on that. I use bar soap daily and go through less than 1 bar per month. When you use it, keep it out of the shower stream, quickly rub it in your hands, set it back down on the dry shelf, and then lather the soap residue from your hands onto your body. Step out of the shower stream when you're lathering up. When you have only a small chunk of soap remaining, wet it and stick it onto the next bar to avoid waste. Shampoo and conditioner are unnecessary. Just rinse your hair in lukewarm water as you massage your scalp and hair with your fingertips. I'm not a doctor or dermatologist, but that actually made my scalp healthier than using shampoo or soap on it. The cost of running water is built into the rent in our example, but you don't need running water to bathe. You can use jugs of water with a washcloth. If you're paying for metered water by the gallon and for metered energy to heat the water, turn off the water when you're not using it and be quick with your shower. Laundry detergent. The cost of laundry detergent that is free of scents and dyes is $9 per year if you wear your outfits once before washing them and have light soil. But we'll double it to $18 per year to be conservative due to factors that can affect the cost like the types of outfits you have. You can do laundry in a sink, but the apartment that I found for our example has a washer and dryer. A laundromat could add another $200 per year to your expenses, but we'll exclude that cost because it's already built into the rent. There are also inexpensive portable laundry machines that are electric or hand powered that could provide the luxury of easy laundry without the expense of a laundromat. Clippers to cut your own hair. Haircuts are expensive over time. Corded clippers are a one-time investment of $21.16 after taxes at Walmart. I cut my own hair using those clippers and a handheld mirror plus the bathroom mirror to see the back of my head. Cotton swabs, $1.70 per year. Razor blades to shave your face, $36.38 per year. You could reduce this cost by going electric or not shaving. I think that blades are more sanitary. I use bar soap instead of shaving cream. Deodorant, $30.30 per year after tax for Dr. Teal's aluminum-free deodorant. Toothbrushes, $8.55 per year after tax. Toothpaste, $18.69 per year for Sensodyne after tax. Dental flossers, $29.99 per year after tax for PFAS-free flossers at Walmart. Up to this point, we have a living cost of $13,711 per year plus one-time cost of $126.27. Vehicle purchases are major expenses and have not been counted yet. And so let's look at all of the expenses that we have covered so far on a timeline to see when they must be paid, and then add in the vehicle purchases on that timeline. Here's the time in months from today. Here's your bank account balance. Here are the expenses that pop up. And here's the money that goes into your bank account from your $13 per hour, 40 hours per week, 245 days per year job after tax withholding and contributing to your 401k. We'll say that your employer matches up to 6% of your pre-tax income when you contribute to your 401k and that you contribute exactly 6%. We're setting that money aside in an invisible account and won't touch it to make your home purchase. But in real life, do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor to make these decisions. This timeline assumes that you start with zero debt, a bank account balance of $500, and a paid-off Chevy Spark that has 200,000 miles on it. Now let's use our practical imagination and say that the transmission fails in year 2. And you sell the Chevy for $300 scrap and purchase a 2019 Nissan Versa with 51,909 miles on it for $6,680 after all taxes and registration fees are included. That's a normal and real vehicle that I saw near me on autotrader.com while making this video. We're being realistic, so let's say that the transmission on the Versa fails 18 months later because the previous owner didn't change the CVT fluid. So you pay $5,000 to replace the transmission, and then the car lasts a very long time because you're a good owner. Other than the car purchase and transmission replacement, we'll keep the annual transportation cost as I described earlier, even though the new Versa has a better fuel economy. The annual transportation cost includes a complete CVT flush every 20,000 miles and beyond standard maintenance to achieve a long vehicle life. As you can see in our table, you'll surpass $10,000 in savings in the beginning of year 2, but the vehicle trouble in year 2 really sets you back, and you're only at $17,119 at the end of year 3. That's if you keep your money in a savings account that gains interest at the same rate as inflation. In reality, you could store your emergency savings in a no-fee account that beats inflation by a small amount with a bank like SoFi. And then you could invest the remainder of your savings in a responsible way that grows faster than inflation using a service like Fidelity. Not financial advice, just my unlicensed opinion. I may make a future video to demonstrate how to easily set up such accounts. All you need is your smartphone. But to be overly conservative to make a point, let's say that your savings grow exactly with inflation. That makes the math easy because you can look at all the future dollar amounts in this table as though there's no such thing as inflation, and those future dollar amounts will have just as much buying power as they do today. Now that we've seen how fast your savings will grow, we need to know how much money you'll need to buy a house. Let's look at a house on the lower end of the price spectrum. That's buying a vacant quarter-acre lot and putting a brand new manufactured home on it. Manufactured homes are different than the older mobile homes and are much nicer. You'll need a lot that is zoned to allow manufactured homes, and you can probably find your county's zoning laws online. You can and should confirm with your county zoning department in person or over the phone that the specific lot that you'd like to purchase will allow your specific choice of manufactured home to be placed there. Some lots will require a few extra $1,000s for septic installation and testing, and some lots will require spending a bit more for well water or an electric hookup. hookup. A typical quarter-acre lot here that fits those requirements and requires typical costs for septic, electric, and city water hookups would be $20,000 for the lot, plus another $12,000 for minor land clearing, septic testing and installation, and utility hookups. And in my opinion, it's good to spend the extra money to pour a concrete slab for the foundation to help prevent settling, help prevent mold and critters, make termite inspections easier, and preserve the home's value. So let's add $9,000 for the slab. If you contact a listing agent for the lot directly without using your own buyer's agent, typical closing costs would be around $3,000 to $4,000 if you're taking out a loan. More on that in a second. And the total that you would bring to the closing table for the land transaction may be around $3,700. You'll also need to pay for the home. Let's say that you want 2 bathrooms and 2 or more bedrooms so that you can start a family there someday without having to move. Manufactured homes are built to 3 different wind zone ratings, although the government is currently discussing stronger design requirements, and the best ones have 2x6 walls and don't cost that much more money. There are models starting at $60,000 in my area, but we'll splurge to get one that has a nice roof overhang and looks less like a traditional manufactured home. There's one like that here that has 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 1,475 square feet listed in the 80,000s delivered. So let's assume $85,000 delivered. You could wait to accumulate all this money to pay cash, but it would take you over a decade on minimum wage without investing. Let's see what happens if you take out an FHA loan for both the land and the home, which will be permanently fixed to the land. The costs for clearing, utility hookups, the slab, and septic can be worked into the same loan to minimize the amount of cash that you need to save up for the initial purchase. Your total cash that you would need to bring to the closing table for everything, including the land and home, would be $25,000, and your monthly payments would total $1,062. The cash to close is high because you're putting 13% down using a 30-year FHA loan at a 7% interest rate. You could put only 3.5% down if you wanted, but you'd need to choose a less expensive home to lower your debt to income ratio to the 50% requirement so that the lender will let you put only 3.5% down. If you choose a less expensive house, there was a 3-bed, 2-bath home at 902 square feet in the 60,000s without a roof overhang, call that $63,000. You'd be looking at only $11,800 total cash to close with a monthly payment of $980. You could comfortably buy that very quickly, but we'll stick with the first home, which is more suitable as a long-term home. You'll pay that fixed monthly cost of $1,062 for 11 years, and then that will go down a bit because you'll no longer be paying the monthly mortgage insurance premium because you put more than 10% down, and you'll pay just over $1,000 per month for the next 19 years. And those monthly payments will become more bearable over time because they won't increase with inflation, but your wages will increase. And after 30 years of ownership, you'll own 100% of that home and won't have to pay the monthly fees. You'll just pay for annual homeowners insurance, utilities, property taxes, and home maintenance, but those costs are small compared to renting on your own. I recently got a quote to insure a nicer manufactured home, and it was $2,000 to $3,000 per year. And my area in Florida has high insurance costs compared to most places. The home in our example would probably be on the bottom end of that or less. Also, even though the cash to close and the monthly costs in this video are realistic estimates for my area, your numbers could be different even if you're in the same area. Always do your homework and know your total costs before agreeing to any purchases. So what would be a good time to make the purchase in our example? You should probably save up more than the minimum cash needed to close because you could have an emergency like a medical bill or another car failure. Let's say that you want an additional $10,000 of emergency cash in addition to the cash needed to close. You'll reach that goal after 59 months or 4 years and 11 months. Not too shabby, especially since your lifestyle during that time includes many luxuries that even ancient kings didn't have. A handheld device to instantly communicate across the whole planet, extremely fast and enjoyable transportation, heated clean running water in your own home, electricity, a working toilet. That's amazing! And if you'd like to live even more lavishly, like being able to visit distant family twice a year, just keep a written budget and know how much you'll need to take from your emergency savings and what impact that will have on your timeline. This analysis is for a full-time minimum wage job renting by yourself without investing, but you may be able to speed up your timeline by living close to work and not owning a vehicle, living with family, investing. That's different than speculating or gambling, picking up additional hours at a side job like babysitting, or getting raises that beat inflation. So just Imagine if you're an 18-year-old and your parents just gave you their old car and your skills are most suited to a minimum wage job. You could get that job, move out of your parents' house into your own place if you had to, and own a really nice manufactured home where you could raise your own family at 23 years old. And maybe you find a spouse after you buy your home and have two minimum wage incomes with no kids for 2 years before you have kids. Imagine what life could be like with just minimum wage and responsible budgeting. Know your numbers, write them down, have a plan. Also, this video is about achieving homeownership, not about maximizing your wealth. You might be able to split rent with friends for a small fraction of what your monthly house payments would be. And even though those monthly payments are partly adding to your wealth through home equity, you could still potentially build more wealth by renting if the rent is really cheap. So if your goal is to maximize your wealth early and not necessarily to own a home as soon as possible, that's a different discussion for a licensed financial advisor. If you need to buy or sell real estate in the Pensacola area, please use my contact info in the video description. I offer stellar service for a low, flat fee at the time I'm making this video. If you'd like more help with life, subscribe and hit the thumbs up. And tell me what you think about buying a house on minimum wage in the comments. Thanks for watching.